Why is Putin afraid of Ukrainian HIMARS and artillery? The M142 high-mobility artillery rocket system, HIMARS, is undoubtedly the summer star of the war in Ukraine. The American weapons system has enabled the Ukrainian military to halt Russia's advance across the entire battlefield, and will be critical in the inevitable counteroffensive in the country's south. Artillery war continues. In its daily assessment of the war, the British Department of Defense focused on the artillery warfare and the measures that the Russian military was taking to protect its line of communications and supply. Missile and artillery units of Ukraine continued to strike at Russian military strongholds, personal groups, logistics bases and ammunition depots, British military intelligence estimated. This is likely to affect Russian military logistics and put pressure on Russian military combat support elements, the British Ministry of Defense said. HIMARS and the M270 multiple launch rocket system, MLRS, are indeed putting pressure on Russian forces. Simply put, the two weapon systems can launch missiles with devastating accuracy. The missiles are guided by global positioning system technology, at ranges well beyond Russian counter-battery fire. Often, HIMARS and M270s fire missiles from afar, such that by the time the ammunition hits their targets, the HIMARS and M270s are already out of their firing positions. The Russians are trying to find ways to counter HIMARS, with mixed success. Russian troops have almost certainly placed pyramidal radar reflectors in the water near the recently damaged Antonovsky Bridge, and the recently damaged nearby railway bridge, both of which cross the Dnieper River in Kherson, in southern Ukraine, the UK Defence Ministry said. Radar reflectors are likely being used to hide the bridge from synthetic aperture radar imagery and possible missile guidance equipment. This highlights the threat that Russia feels due to the increase in the range and accuracy of Western-supplied systems, British military intelligence assessed. HIMARS and its limitations. Perhaps the biggest limiting factor for HIMARS right now is the missiles it uses. With 6 launch tubes on HIMARS and 16 HIMARS in service or en route, the Ukrainian military can launch 96 missiles per day or 2,880 per month. And that number doesn't include the M270, which has 12 launch tubes per vehicle. A standard HIMARS rocket costs about $7.5 million. And 2,880 missiles, or a month's supply for Ukraine's current HIMARS arsenal, is worth nearly $400 million. To be sure, the US has proven that money is not a problem by providing Ukraine with almost $10 billion in security aid since the start of the war. But stocks are there, and with a stockpile of 30,000 to 50,000 missiles, the US military can only issue that many. Thus, the Ukrainian military must be careful with the targeting process, which involves HIMARS and M270s. Because with a limited supply of bypassing ammunition, only targets with the highest strategic value should be involved.